So we haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Or a
like
couple months since we got anything wrestling related.
yeah, we haven't done wrestling in a while. Did a lot of art, some funny shit, but not a lot of wrestling. So we're gonna talk about wrestling while we stream a Fire Pro Wrestling World 8-man battle royale. Give me 1 second to turn on the thing. I forgot all about this. Uh, Let me know when you can see it. Oh, and it kicked him out. He's gonna have to join the call again. I don't know why it does that. There you are. I don't know why it does that, man. You there?
I am here.
Alright. I don't know why it always does that. That's just odd. There's times it
Well,
does it and times yeah, times it does it and times it doesn't. I don't know why. Alright, so like I said, we're gonna kick this off with an 8-man battle royale. There are 8 wrestlers, the only 8 we have shown so far in the past few months. There are more made, but figured we might as well use ones that we've been using for this battle royale. So we've got Slashman, Rigoberto
well,
Menendez, Ricky Clark, Nancy Dynasty, Tony Santoro, Booty Man, Jack Keegan, and Ernesto Guerrero. I have trouble saying that last name. All right. Um, we also have a top 5 for y'all tonight. We have not gone over who we have in our top 5, so if we have the same person, we'll have a laugh over it. And it is the top 5 wrestlers who would have never made it in the Attitude Era. Most of mine are picked for the same reason, and we'll get to that later, but I hope you got a good list.
I'm wondering if we have the same reason.
Well, I'll just go ahead and start this match, and then I'll explain what I mean by they were picked for the same reason.
All right, go ahead. You can go ahead and start, man.
There were 2 things that made a wrestler in the Attitude Era, as we all know: the ability to kick someone's ass and take punishment, and the ability to speak. So, if you couldn't cut a good promo or at least an entertaining promo, you would have never made it in the Attitude Era. And I'm not counting WCW wrestlers because they weren't in the WWE Attitude Era per se. They came in the invasion angle, and that's kind of the death of Attitude. So, you there?
I am here. I'm just listening.
All right. So,
Well, I agree 100% so far.
some of my wrestlers aren't from that era, and some are, but they were not with WWE during that era. So if you want to go ahead with your number 5, and then I'll speak mine. My number 5 is from the '80s, actually. So,
Oh shit! I just did a bunch of current people.
oh shit. Well, I'll start with my number 5 then. Don Morocco.
All right.
that that shit he did with the numbers with Mr. Fuji when he was gonna fight like Ricky the Steamboat or whatever Dragon, or whatever, and he was like 42 or 43 or 34 or 24 or 29 or 57. It's all numbers in time. That would have never ever cut the mustard in the Attitude Era.
Well, we did have Steiner math in like the post era, and Booty Man's been eliminated.
Damn, that was quick. Yeah, but Steiner math was different than Don Morocco math. In the way that Steiner math happens all the time. Don Morocco tried math one time and failed miserably, and then he was never seen again. The difference is with Steiner, it's entertaining when he says something like that. With Don Morocco, it's just like, what is he go? How much cocaine did he snort before he did this? With Steiner, you know, it was a whole table full.
I couldn't agree more.
Or what's your number five, man?
Yeah, my five are all basically picked for the same reason, and I'll get into that.
Okay.
But I had a little bit um, reasoning like you. You have to be able to cut a promo more than anything.
Oh yeah, and if even if it was a bad promo, if it wasn't at least some kind of in some way hilarious, it wouldn't have cut it. You know, it had to be. If it were bad, it had to be so bad that a meme nowadays could be made out of it for it to, you know, gain traction. So I understand that reasoning. That's
Well, I also have another reasoning, and you'll probably understand it once we get into things. But my number five is Seth Rollins.
I agree with that one. 100%. I agree with that one.
I mean, just personal reasons, just problems I've had with him set aside. It's not a promo, and maybe I'm wrong on that. I mean, this is why I didn't really want to say promo work as well, because we're in the writers era, but he's
Yeah.
also just kiss ass, and I just don't see that working in that Attitude Era day.
Yeah, he another reason for him not to work in the Attitude Era would be that he's small. He's not a very big guy. And albeit there was people like Funaki and Taka Michinoku in the Attitude Era and they did great. But they also had entertainment value about them. Seth Rollins is always like 100% serious that he's going to be this and that and the other. But I don't think his body could have withstood the punishment he would have taken during the Attitude Era.
That was your number four.
Oh, my number four is a current wrestler. He wears a sweatband around his forehead most of the time and poses his ass cheeks. His name is Bobby Lashley. Now,
You can't fucking talk.
yeah, brother. What was he trying to say, brother or something one day, and it came out like brother, brother. He can't cut a promo for anything. He I don't watch. I'll be the first to admit I don't watch WWE anymore. I can't stand it. It's boring to me, and it's the same rehashed crap week in and week out. Okay, for one. For two, the last 15 matches I saw Bobby Lashley in, he botched at least one move in about seven of them. I don't. I was all for it when he came back to WWE. He should have never left in the first place. But seeing how he does now and how he can't talk, I don't understand why he's even there. And as far as the Attitude Era, the inability to cut a decent promo or even half-ass wrestle, he would just not survive. He would have been fired.
Completely agree with you. I mean, he might have made it in WCW.
Maybe. You know what? I think that would have been a really cool option if he were, older and he would have competed during that era. I could see him easily being part of like NWO or even Harlem Heat, back in its day.
Well, if in that time period, they would have nation domination, or just had him be that stereotypical. And
Yeah,
WWE has done this for years. They always have a smiling African American man.
yeah. One thing I would say if he were in WWE for the Attitude Era, who they would have teamed him with, in my opinion, that would have worked would have been like Ahmed Johnson. That would be the only two powerhouses. I could see them selling a really good match that way, but the fact that he can't talk, Ahmed Johnson couldn't talk either. So right there just totally negates that whole, you know, the team would have went nowhere because they couldn't speak.
No, yeah, and that right there is where Bobby Lashley just ends.
Yeah, the moment he gets a microphone in his hand and he starts talking, you're just, I can do nothing but stare at the TV and just like, have that Kappa face where I'm just kind of like, really? Don't give him a microphone. Just have him be the strong, silent type and give him a Paul Heyman esque mouthpiece. That's all you have to do. Shit, we're down to 3 people.
Yes, we are.
I just noticed that. All right, who's your number 4?
My number 4 is Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, yuck. I don't even like him
Yeah.
nowadays.
Oh, you know what? He's just the bland, boring wrestler to begin with. Where I've been watching him for years and just pull the trigger on him. But the reason that I don't think he would have worked in the Attitude Era is politics. He's like the great value version of Shawn Michaels.
He-
You know?
Kind of like mixed with midget Sid Udy. He's got the fucking Sid Udy hair. He has the little big man syndrome where he's a small guy, but he acts like he's 10 feet tall. He he's semi decent at promoing. I mean, but yeah, I think you're right. Politics, it would not have played out well for him.
Because immediately it would have been Shawn Michaels and Triple H doing their backstage shit, or to Shawn. So
Yeah.
either they would have tried to cram him into B Generation X, and that would not have worked,
No, he's just a knockoff of like 5 different wrestlers combined.
or he would have just been crammed in the Job Squad kind of thing. But he wouldn't have been good for that.
No, and I don't think he even would have made a good jobber just because of his ring presence, like the way he comes out, like arrogant. Somebody would have shot all over him already, like in his first match.
All right, number 3.
Number 3, oh my gosh, let's talk about the giant form of. Let's talk about Dolph Ziggler in his final form, Sid Udy. He worked in WCW for a while, but I don't think he had the promo skills to work in WWE during the Attitude Era. Everybody was bored of Master and Commander of the Universe. Um, I could see them tagging him up with people and him just being a strong, silent partner. That would have worked. But the fact that you give him a microphone and it's just a disaster. I'm a huge Sid Udy fan. Don't get me wrong. I love Sid Justice, Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, whatever you want to call him. Love him to death. But I don't think he would have cut the mustard in the Attitude Era in WWE. In fact, I was kind of grateful when he went to WCW. Cause
You know what?
what's that?
No, no, no. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Yeah, I agree because all he.
Oh, can you repeat that? It's cutting out a little bit.
Was that he was big.
Yeah, I agree that the only thing he had going for him was he was big and he was a powerhouse. But he's that kind of wrestler where if you get him in a match that goes over 25 minutes, it's he has no gas in the tank. He can't do anything. He looked to be like in peak physical shape, but back then I don't think he would have been able to really do anything promo wise or have any of those long drawn out matches that the Attitude Era had. right, what's up with your number 3, man?
Real simple. My number 3 is Elias.
Oh, I agree with that one. I can't disagree with that one. That one's great.
Now we have shit on Elias a lot on this thing we do, but here's why. Jeff Jarrett did it better.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Jeff Jarrett did it better. With Jeff Jarrett, there was variance in the shtick or the gimmick, right? You never knew when he was going to hit
Exactly.
somebody with a fucking guitar. With Elias, he comes out there, he tries to play a song, somebody interrupts him, they get smashed with the guitar, or Elias gets smashed with the guitar. That's the way it ends every time. With Jeff Jarrett, you could be halfway through the match and the guitar come out. You could be right there when the bell rang and the guitar came out. You could be walking down the entrance ramp and the guitar comes out. Or you could be after the match and the guitar comes out. It was spontaneous, completely. Um, the two main differences between Elias and Jeff Jarrett are Jeff Jarrett knows how to put a match together. Elias, he can't even really do a promo. I mean, they have him do the same thing all the time. Comes in, shits on the town or the sports team, plays a guitar, asks everybody if they want to walk with Elias, and then somebody interrupts him.
He is like the textbook definition of paint by numbers for a wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, what they probably did was when they hired him, they said, "Do you have any talents besides wrestling? Because this just isn't going to work." And he was like, "Oh, I can play the guitar." And they were like, "Here you go. That's what you'll do." I mean, seriously, that's his in-ring ability is very basic, like very basic. I haven't seen him do anything that I've been like, "Wow, that's fucking amazing." Just basic. So that's actually like two different things of why he wouldn't have worked. I mean, three, who would they have teamed him with? They wouldn't have teamed him with Jeff Jarrett. They have the same gimmick.
NBA, you have well, so you have Honky Tonk Man
No, but
going
Tom.
in '98. Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, hold on a second. Um, I'm gonna, s- I'm gonna turn off the screen share since the match is over with. That way it will. Oh shit! What did I do? That way it will save on the voice. All right. Um, Go ahead and repeat what you were saying because it was cutting out because the video was hampering the connection.
Well, I was saying let's look at the attitude or just break it down to the 5 years that it was around.
Yeah.
So 90, 97 Honky Tonk Man is around. He's doing the guitar shtick.
Hmm.
Rockabilly is failing. So they're not going to do that for 98. 99, Jeff Jarrett's back for most of that year. And then 2000, 2001, Jeff Jarrett's doing it on WCW.
Yeah.
So there
Eh,
would have been no room for him.
no, not at all. And the thing is, they couldn't have paired him with Honky Tonk Man because Honky Tonk Man had a partner back in the day. I don't remember his name, but he looked just like him. Another Elvis impersonator. Oh, he was in the Undertaker's match at Survivor Series that year, like in '91 or whatever. What was
Greg
that?
Valentine.
Yeah, I forget what they called him though. I know that's his name, but I forget what they like his. Oh, they called him something.
Rhythm and Blues.
Yeah, Rhythm and Blues. That's right. So they couldn't have really partnered him with him because I mean, Elias does not fit the fucking rockabilly, greaser look. He's more like wannabe Chris Jericho. Oh, I didn't say that. But But yeah, there's nothing he could have done in the Attitude Era that wasn't already being done or had been done.
What was what's a cool story about that Survivor Series event?
Yeah.
Everybody in that match except one fucking person.
Yeah.
Coco Beware.
That they should have had him too. I don't know. Without that match, though, we would have never had the Phenom's long tenure in WWE. That was a real good. As far as premieres for wrestlers go, like their first match with a very big company, that was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't his first match, but it was good.
That was a great way to introduce him to the mainstream wrestling world.
Yeah, they bring this
He's a
guy. They bring this guy out. This huge. I mean, at the time, he was bigger than everybody in the ring. I think almost. And they were like, just go kick some ass. I mean, they had him face legends. Back then, Honky Tonk Man was he was somewhere between a face and a heel. He was like he juggled between the mid and the main card. But Dusty Rhodes, Ted DiBiase. I mean, what better way to be introduced than to face people who are already becoming legends?
I think just about everybody in that match now is in the Hall of Fame too.
I think so. I watched it a month ago. I watched that whole match again, and I was like, God, this was magic, man. Like Taker did botch like two moves, but they weren't really noticeable. And I think one of them wasn't his fault. That's a whole different show, though. We have to have a show on botching one day.
Oh yeah,
All right, so I think that brings us to what, number two?
you're number two. Yep.
Oh man, mine is a great one. It's kind of relevant. It's kind of modern era. Ah, fuck. The Genesis of McGillicuddy. You remember Curtis Axel?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That you give that. He has all the promo skill of his dad. None. Like, I mean, you.
Yep.
It's like that was the gene that was passed down, like the dominant gene passed from father to son was, oh, once they put a microphone in your hand, you're gonna shit your pants, and it's just gonna happen every time. Half the crap that man says does not make any sense, man. Macho Man on cocaine makes more sense than any Curtis Axel promo I've ever heard. I think Warriors fuel the rocket ship spiel and exit stage left, exit stage right. That made more sense than the genesis of McGillicuddy.
100% agree with you on that.
It's just, oh, I watch promos by these guys while I was on break at work all week thinking about it, and I'm like, this is just freaking horrible. This guy has to be on the list. Not only that, but he's not that great of a wrestler. Pit him against his dad, and his dad would win like every time. I don't know how you could have a dad or a father that was that great of a technical wrestler and just go into the business and just do nothing.
And just consistently chip the bed.
Yeah, like every time he just shits the bed. All right, what's your number two?
Because they're kind of related. Well, not related to each other, but generation wrestler that I just don't think he could have made it. Bray Wyatt.
You know, I did. You're right. I don't think there would have been any place for him. The only place I could see him working during the Attitude Era, and dude, I don't even know. No, it wouldn't even work then.
There would have been no room for him with the Undertaker just dominating that whole era, that 97 to 99 Undertaker era.
Yeah,
There's going to be no room for Bray Wyatt in any incarnation, be it the Husky Harris or the cult leader, because they were already doing a cult leader, and you couldn't do that, and you couldn't do this fiend shit that they're doing now because okay, there's Mister Rogers' Neighborhood guy in the Attitude Era. Fuck off.
right.
It's popular now is because it's the edgiest thing that's on TV.
Like the only thing he could have done would be Naked Midian, and he would have failed at that because, yeah. Man, I never understood that Naked Midian. I was like, what the hell? Why is this? What is this? But yeah, Bray Wyatt wouldn't have fit in at all.
All right, who's your number?
I want to know if your number one is the same as mine.
Go ahead and type it in. It might be different.
Is your number one? Does he refer to himself as the big dog in the yard?
Actually, no, that's not my number one.
Holy shit! Roman Reigns is my number one, and I mean, it has nothing to do with his in-ring ability. He can actually put on a halfway decent match some of the time. It's just he's like Bobby Lashley with a little bit more wrestling experience. He just can't talk. And I'm not trying to shit on him or anything, but just I don't think he would have worked. You already had The Rock, all right? There was no other Samoan in the Attitude Era. No other guy could have came out there and he just wouldn't have worked. There was nowhere for him to fit in. He would have never cut a good promo. And I couldn't even see him like teaming up with anybody back then. There was no fact. I mean, what the Shield did when they came out it was done already by guys like the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal. They were the guys that came in and just beat the hell out of everybody. But as far as like Roman Reigns and the Attitude Era, I don't think there would have been a place for him.
Completely, I do completely agree with you on that because the the main selling point for him is that he's Samoan.
Yeah.
He can do a spear and he can scream. Well, so could Goldberg. So spear's out.
Well, not only even Goldberg, but I mean there was Rhino too. Rhino, I think,
Right,
had
he
a
had
better
four.
spear. Yeah, he had a better spear than Goldberg did, I think. And Edge and Christian, Edge with his
Yeah,
spear, and they would have said, "Okay, what are we gonna do? Okay, he's got a Superman punch." Back then, nobody knew what a Superman punch was, and back then, your finisher had to look devastating. There was nobody that had a punch for a finisher except Butterbean when he fought. Who was that? Bob Blackland or something? you know.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he would have meshed. He would not have had any sort of cohesiveness with what was going on during the Attitude Era. There was no place in there for him. He couldn't have been the Samoan guy. He couldn't have been the spear guy. He couldn't have been the punch guy. There was nobody to team him with. It just wouldn't have worked.
Like the only thing that I disagree with is he has a look that
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah.
it's Vince's boy look all day every day.
Yeah. He's physically in good shape. He's got a strong face. He's got the hair. That look was done so many times in the Attitude Era by several different wrestlers too. You know, you had Triple H with the hair and the look and the strong face. The Undertaker didn't have the look, but he had the strong face and the hair. Shawn Michaels with the complete package. Um, he had the look, but none of the other qualities that would have made him, work or mesh in the Attitude Era.
Well, there was like one guy. I think that if we were to do 5 current people that could make it in the Attitude Era, I think our number ones would be the same because it's like the opposite of Romance,
Oh,
where he has the look, but he also has devastating wrestling ability, athletic prowess, and he can fucking cut him. Would have gone over super amazing in the Attitude Era.
all right.
Hamatonga.
Dude, I was thinking this. I was like, he's got to be talking about Tama Tonga. He wouldn't even need Tongaroa. In the Attitude Era, that would have been the Rock Killer. If Tama Tonga had been around in the Attitude Era, with all the prowess and training that he has now, and his agility, his in-ring versatility, he, in, the golly, being the adoptive son of Haku, would have made one of the best wrestlers in the Attitude Era. He'd be legendary right now. People would look at Roman Reigns and say Tama Tonga did it better. To me, Roman Reigns feels like a Tama Tonga knockoff.
Oh, he has the same look, same. Like
They
the only difference is they have different beards
and different tattoos, and the
Yeah,
vest.
that's
Every
it.
now and then, the vest looks different. Well, one of the main differences is you will never see Roman Reigns run, running the ropes with an opponent and slide around him like Tama Tonga does. Nobody does it like Tama Tonga does. But yeah, I
That to
think
me is what makes him the fucking man. You know.
Tama Tonga, if he were to be in WWE and Roman Reigns in New Japan, Roman Reigns would probably be partnered with Juice Robinson, fucking wearing silly star glasses and fucked up hats. And Tama Tonga would be WWE champion. Because you can look at Tama Tonga and the way he wrestles and say that man can beat Brock Lesnar. I think that was the main problem with Brock being champion for so long is they bring all these guys in and none of them look like they can beat him.
Well, the exception was Braun Strowman because he just looks like fucking Ray Jackson from Bloodsport.
Braun Strowman is a wrestler that could have survived in the Attitude Era, I think, based on
Yeah.
his physique alone and how devastating he is. That overwhelming sense of this guy is going to fuck someone's world up tonight. That alone would have put him over in the Attitude Era.
Well, because he's already more. Well, I don't know how comparative skill to classic giants. Paul White, but he would be up there with that. And Paul White had several title runs, so
Yeah,
Braun Strowman could have definitely survived. He would have been one of my picks for people that would have made it in the Attitude Era.
yeah, definitely. Paul White, Paul White. Oh man, I think it was around like '03 or '04, maybe even as late as '07. I remember reading an article talking about, he went and spent time in Japan and he learned how to do a proper drop kick. And I was like, man, that's as big as he is, that probably hurts him more than it hurts whoever he's drop kicking. Because that's a whole lot of weight coming crashing down on the mat. I gave him props, and I was like, this guy is going to get in the Hall of Fame one day. He deserves it.
Oh, definitely. I would love to see him make it to the Hall of Fame one day.
What's your number one for wrestlers who wouldn't have made it? And then we'll discuss a few who might have.
My number one, I had a couple reasons for everybody that didn't make it before. being too small. Mic skills were a lot, and then just having a gimmick that just wouldn't go over because somebody else was doing it better.
Yeah.
Uh, my is a combination of all of those.
Ah.
It's a guy who, so he's too fucking small, so that already eliminates him from every category from being able to work in a proper Attitude Era match.
Yeah.
He can't cut a promo because not because of the way his voice sounds, but just because he's bland as shit, and it goes all the way back to his ROH days. ROH was bland. His style is better for this era, not back then. The gimmick that he will do on occasion, Mick Foley did it better. Can you guess what I'm talking about yet?
I've got a couple of people in mind, but I can't.
It's Finn Balor.
Oh, yeah. Finn Balor. I like Finn Balor, I really do. But you're right. He wouldn't have caught. He wouldn't have caught on. Even his accent, people would have hated it.
Well, the accent would have been bad. Politics would have set him back because he's foreign. I hate
Yeah.
saying that, but he's foreign, so that automatically sets you back on the politics end.
Even
He's too
back then,
small.
and this is an era we have to remind people that where Canadians were perceived as evil.
Yeah,
Anybody that wasn't from the United States was automatically a bad guy in WWE during the Attitude Era or made into one.
so he would have just been destroyed. Just like the only thing I will concede he probably could have made him successful was back when he was in Japan and he was doing all the body paint and fucking dressing up thing.
Yeah.
But even then, the Bullet Club wouldn't even save him because all the Bullet Club is an NWO.
Yeah, every guy that was in the original incarnation of the Bullet Club pretty much mirrored somebody in NWO, with the exception of Finn Balor, in my opinion. I didn't really see him mirroring anybody because in New Japan he seems so original and fresh. But now it just seems very boring.
And that's who I personally believe was like the one person who could not make it.
I had I
Now,
had
but
oh, I was gonna say I had some honorable mentions, man, and some of
I
them.
do too.
My first honorable mention would be Ricochet. He has the. I mean, as far as luchador style and high flying, that he could totally be in the Attitude Era, but he can't. At this point, I don't even know if he understands English, and I'm not saying that to be like racist or anything, but when he does cut a promo or he talks, you're just like, huh? It's like, is he just reciting something somebody taught him to say, or does he know what he's saying, or is he just repeating somebody else? Something that somebody has bashed into his brain to say. He can't cut a promo to save his life. Now I could have seen him like doing the whole high flying bit that was very popular back then, but I just don't see anywhere he would have fit. I think WCW would have done him good back then, but WWE, as far as that, I don't think he would have went anywhere.
All right, I completely agree with you. How about any other honorable mentions?
Oh man, I could list like 100 different people.
Yeah, what's sad is my main honorable mentions, and it sucks because I have a wall just sitting in front of me in my bedroom of people I can name that would not make it in the Attitude Era. And the reason being, women.
Yeah, they just wouldn't have fucking hired him.
They would never fucking hire. Like, there are 3 exceptions. 3 women today, I think, would have made it in the Attitude Era, but not for their fucking wrestling ability, are Mandy Rose, Carmella, and Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, Vince would have been like, "Y'all are gonna be in the ring tonight," and they'd be like, "Cool, we're gonna wrestle." No, you're gonna wear body paint, pasties.
Yep.
That's what Vince would have done. That's exactly what he would have done because back then there was no, there wasn't even a Divas champion yet. I mean, you saw like there were mixed matches every now and then, or a valet would get smashed by a chair and be an integral part of an angle, but there was no. Yeah, you're right. There had been if they did get a match, they would have just been destroyed by China in like 35 seconds. That would have been it.
Yeah. Like, let's just look at the 4 horsewomen, quote unquote.
Oh, yeah.
The,
What
the man is never going to exist because she's Irish.
should be a heel right away, right off the bat, and she would have been
Or
around for a
heels.
month and gone.
Sasha Banks, her attitude alone would have gotten her fired. But then, just can you really name anybody in her look from the Attitude Era?
Nah,
Because it was there were some exceptions, like China, like the main exception to the rule, but they were all white blonde women.
yep. Tori Runnels. Oh God, I could if I could remember half the names now. They were just such a minuscule part of the program that heck, I couldn't name half of them. I tell you one woman who might have made it. Awesome
Go
Kong.
ahead. Oh yeah,
Awesome Kong.
she
I
had.
could see her make it. She has a watching her wrestle a few months back was just like she came out there and power bombed what like 4 women at one time. I mean rope assisted, turnbuckle assisted, and all that, but and then she just stepped all over them like they were carpet, like whatever. That has Attitude Era written all over it, right there. You know.
Would have made it on the stuff, just being that sideshow thing,
Yeah,
like old ass, you know,
like the
woman,
yeah,
like what was her name? It was the it was back when they had the women's title. I can't remember her fucking name, lady, and that was her thing too. Was she was like an unstoppable force.
yeah.
That would have been fucking awesome. Kong.
There were now we're kind of taking away. There were some great women's championships, and there were some great women's matches in the Attitude Era. Trish Stratus and Lita and all that. Um, but aside from that, yeah, Awesome Kong I think would probably be one of the very few exceptions to the rules of females now who would have made it during the Attitude Era. Oh, let's see. Another guy who wouldn't have made it during the Attitude Era. And this is an honorable mention, and he's one of my favorite wrestlers, and it's uh it's Ray Phoenix. He has all the high flying ability and all that, but if you look at him and the Lucha Brothers, Ray Phoenix and Pentagon, Pentagon brings the charisma. The crowd when they're shouting the catchphrase, it's his. It was his before it was his and his brothers. All that attention is pretty much for stuff he has done. His brothers are Ray Phoenix is fantastic in the ring, but he doesn't have the charisma that Pentagon has.
Oh no, Phoenix would he would have made it in the Attitude.
He would have.
I think Pentagon Junior would have made it in the Attitude Era for sure.
Oh yeah, Pentagon. Remember back in the day when they had the deal with AAA during the Attitude Era, and you had like Psychosis and a few others that when the deal was over went to WCW. But I think he would have fit right in there. He would have been like, yeah, even
I
Judas Messias
oh yeah.
would have fit in, and I think he did have one match. Cybernetico was in a match and he did real good, but they only had him on like two or three times. He was the big him and Judas Messias were like the big pulls for AAA back then. Judas Messias still is. Um, but yeah, I think that'd been amazing. Judas Messias is now what do they call him? Mil Muertes, or they did until Lucha Underground went deep, deep underground by about 6 feet.
He'll make more appearances eventually because he improved greatly.
Oh, he like if you compare like old footage of him to new footage, everything about him now is just attitude era. He's got the size now. He had it back then, but now he's like really like man. He's a complete package. Like you buy him, you're gonna put butts in seats that weren't there before. He's one of those wrestlers that could benefit from a company like AEW right now. I think what what wrestlers could you name right now that would have made it? Like I know we've been talking about that for a minute now, but which ones do you think would have made it back then?
I think Samoa Joe would have made it for sure.
Oh yeah,
Man's a fucking beast.
and not even because they wouldn't even had to call him Samoa Joe. They could have just called him Joe and come out there and break somebody, and then go back to the back and eat pizza.
Well, he also has the mic skills.
Yeah, he can
He
talk. He has presence. You know what I mean? Like it's not like when Dolph Ziggler comes out there and everybody boos him. Joe comes out there and he legitimately has heat because his persona is that of an asshole.
you know who's another guy that would make it in the Attitude Era just by his look alone?
Who's that?
Bad Luck Fale.
Oh yeah, I could have seen like Bad Luck Fale being in Nation of Domination in the Attitude Era. I could see Bad Luck Fale being in. Well, maybe not so much, but he could have kind of like had a tenure in Degeneration X. They could have done an angle where he was their bouncer and then got his ass kicked by China at a club, so they fired him and hired her. Bad Luck Fale, definitely. Um, you know who I think could have made it? And this is a tag team. Well, a purported tag team that should be wrestling very soon as a tag team. And you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. But I think they have the ability because they are my new favorite tag team. And you're gonna laugh. You're gonna really laugh. But I think they could have made it. Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy.
Somehow I knew you were going to say that.
They just have that. It's like they could have made it with the oddities. Imagine them coming out with the oddities. That would have been like, damn, these motherfuckers are freaks. Look at that little guy on that big dude's shoulders.
And then they would have did something like a fucking standing 450 or something like that.
Jeez, he wasn't even standing. It was like I think that's what he was attempting, but he was seated on a turnbuckle and just like whoop. His foot hit. That little part that they tighten up between the turnbuckle and the post. You know what I'm talking about? There's like a little
Yeah.
You got to put a wrench in there in a socket and you tighten it up. And they have these plastic covers that go over them. And his foot hit that thing, and I swear that thing shot like 30 feet in the air. Just boom, it went into orbit. If his foot wouldn't have hit that, I think he would have done like a 450 splash from a seated position on that top turnbuckle. That was like holy crap. That was even better with the guy than the guy with no legs doing the 450, because that wasn't really a 450. That was just like a, I don't know. It looked like a twisted senton or something. But yeah, I think they would have made it. Just off that odd factor, they have that really weird look alone. I think that would have made it. And it's not like you can actually fit them into a group anywhere because they're so just different. They kind of have that air about them that Luke Gallows had in the WWE when he was teamed up with that one guy. What is his name? Jesse?
Uh, Jesse, yeah.
Yeah, the whole biscuits and gravy thing where they rang the bell and Luke Gallows went nuts, and then the bell rang after the match and he was fine. I think they would have had that kind of draw because when those two guys came out, they were. I mean, I'm sure it had something to do with like the 6 months of promos they cut before then, but they had a lot of push behind them when they first came out, and I think Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy probably would have had the same thing. Excuse me. I can't believe I just said they would have made it during the Attitude Era.
Well, it's true.
They're just a wild tag. I don't know. There's just something about them. You can tell they're maybe one day Luchasaurus will like turn on him and destroy him, and I think that's part of the reason why I said they would make it because that would be an entertaining as hell match to watch. Oh man, trying to think of other names, and I'm drawing blanks. You know who would have made it? Bobby Roode, I think. I think he could have made it. I mean, he's boring, but he has he's got the package. He's got the look and in ring ability. He promo was somewhat decent. Any more names to add to the list?
No, I think that we're good.
I think that's about it, man. I can't think of anybody else. Part of it's because I'm tired. Part of it's because I'm sick. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's about time we call it. Been about an
Yeah,
hour.
it's been about an hour. All right, we're gonna go ahead and sign off for the evening. Maybe one day in the future, really soon, we'll have another talk show. We'll do some entertaining topic like botches, or that'd be funny to do like our own type of botchamania top 10. Oh, my TV. All right. Anyway, we're gonna call it a night, folks. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll make another video soon.
All right, take it easy, everyone.